What if this odd, flat feeling was never intended in your life? What if your days were bent rather than broken? Now, the Pleiadian being Kalen presents a subtle truth. Our perception of reality is warped, not because we are undeserving, but rather because we have been exposed to this delusion for so long that it has become imperceptible, like old fingerprints on glass. We lost sight of the smear. However, your soul has begun to pose more profound queries. That glimmer of discontent, that faint pain, it indicates that what your heart never forgot is beginning to be remembered by your eyes. You decided to forget everything at that point. There was a noteworthy event prior to your birth. Not just the development of a physique, but also your soul's kind consent to forget, to disappear behind the curtain. It was purpose rather than punishment, because you can only find your genuine sight and learn to trust it again by forgetting. It was a sacred agreement that wasn't coerced. You responded yes after glancing at this crowded plane that is Earth. Yes to the long journey home, yes to separation, and yes to confusion. It's a peculiar form of courage, is it not? Accepting suffering in the hopes that love will overcome it. This forgetting did not occur suddenly. There were layers to it. The quiet began when you inhaled your first breath. And as the world's noise increased over time, teaching you names, norms, and boundaries, the quiet within you turned into the spot where your soul spoke, waiting for you to recall. Flashes of memory can occur. A room seems familiar to you as soon as you enter it. Something stirs when you glimpse a stranger, or perhaps it's the sensation you have just before you go to sleep. As if you can't identify what's lacking, you remain true to yourself, it simply hid under the commotion. It patiently waited through your sadness and laughter. On those still evenings when you gazed at the ceiling and pondered why everything seemed so meaningless, you're not broken like that. Your first vision is attempting to resurface. And isn't it true that the first step to seeing more clearly than ever before was forgetting? Your eyes are telling the truth. It's your universe. You've always had honest eyes. The glimmer in the sky has been detected by them. The instant when time seems thicker and slower, the odd flash in the room's corner. Your vision isn't the issue. It's what has been positioned in front of it, such as drapes that you didn't request or that have been drawn across windows you were unaware existed. We have been taught by the world to doubt what we see, to label it as fantasy, or to dismiss it as chance. And gradually that trust starts to wane in your own perceptions. You quit talking about the weird light. You put that darkness out of your mind. Even as your stomach clenches around the surface story, you start to accept it. They teach you to fear your own eyes so you'll never see what's behind theirs, Kalen once remarked. One line sticks out. It causes you to halt. What do we actually glance at every day? Fluorescent lights and glass screens. Even when familiar faces act as though nothing is wrong, you know. It's not this. There is more than this. When you're motionless, have you ever noticed how reality somewhat warps? When you stop staring and instead allow your eyes to soften, things start to fall through at that point. Strange spots of light, a glimmer on the ground, an unexpected remembrance that isn't part of this life. Through your eyes, your spirit observes. However, the lens is obscured by the cacophony of the fake reality. However, something opens the instant you believe what you see before it is explained to you. Not all of the veil falls at once. Like dawn mist, it rises. No new world is revealed to you. From beneath the old one, you sense it coming up. You are not being deceived by reality. What's breaking is the mask that was put over it, the light that was programmed. That pretends to be the truth. Even though light is sacred, it can be slightly warped or twisted to deceive the sight or conceal something that feels pleasant. This is what this world has mastered, disguising control as direction and manipulating beauty. It hasn't always been the light you deserve that has been shown to you. A certain type of truth has been designed to hold you accountable, not to ruin you but to silence you. It appears secure. It has a quiet voice. It gives you the information you desire. However, you feel more empty after leaving it. Light isn't that. It's a program. This is how Kalen once put it. In a mirror chamber, they give you a candle and claim that there is no such thing as the sun. I was stopped by that line. People that sparkle with outward accomplishment, advertisements that radiate, and quotations that calm without agitating are all examples of how the world feeds you with reflection after reflection. However, underneath all of that, a completely distinct light is attempting to reach you. In the water, in nature, and in the eyes of someone who saw you before you spoke, you sensed it. That light discloses without begging for attention or selling itself, and everything changes when it even briefly touches you. It dawns on you how dim the other light actually was. Spiritual teachings are not always pure. Some were designed to make you go around in circles. When it never results in liberation, even healing can turn into a trap. This deceptive light penetrates that deep. It can dress up in any costume, and the distinction can only be discerned by the heart. So, here's something to consider. Your eyes won't have to contend with the real light. It will wait till you regain the ability to feel. The fabric is tearing, which is Kalen's first clue. It didn't get off to a great start. It began with unusual days, with birds behaving strangely, with numerals repeatedly appearing, with devices malfunctioning without cause, and with dreams that persisted like smoke even after drinking coffee. Kalen gave the initial signal at that point. The veil is getting thinner. The forecast is faltering. It could have seemed like confusion to you. Deja vu moments. Time is bending in on itself. You glance at the timepiece. There's also a problem. The emotion, not the stats. The rhythm seems to be broken. For example, parts of the story you were told are missing. You're not imagining that. The programmable fabric is having trouble holding that. You are now observing a malfunctioning universe. The previous system is unable to stabilize, since your spirit is vibrating at a certain frequency. It's like attempting to contain an ocean in a glass container. The jar eventually breaks. This shredding is heavenly, not harmful. It indicates that you are drawing nearer. As it tears, your vibration is drawing you closer to a form of earth that transcends fear, monotony, and manufactured roles. The sound becomes more intense. Before it dies, the illusion will scream. How can you get past this tearing then? Carefully, inquisitively, and with presence. Don't resist. Take your time, watch the fragments fall. Let the phony things fall apart. Allow the phony relationships to show. Allow the time frames to diverge as they have to. And perhaps the subtle chaos you've been experiencing is the illusory world letting go rather than the reality collapsing. Why reality seems like a dream? Have you observed it? That uncanny silence under your daily existence. As if the trees are observing. The buildings don't seem to settle well, like though time is going by without any movement. It's confusing but strangely familiar. That's because the reality beneath all of this, the one you're sensing, is the true one. It also follows different regulations. Dreams allow us to accept the impossibility. It establishes a network, a collective vision where challenging the norms becomes risky. You comply because you want to fit in, grin at inappropriate stuff. When the truth is presented, remain silent. Additionally, you don't ruin the illusion for other people. Here's the twist though. Reality doesn't change on its own. Withdrawal of conviction causes it to change. The story begins to wane the instant you stop feeding it. Have you ever seen how some lies start to fade when you stop telling them, even to yourself? Mass belief is magnetic, as Kalen reminds us. The more people who concur, the more serious it is. However, that gravity isn't inherent. It's planned. It maintains the old world's rotation. That's why it initially seems lonely to wake up, because you're learning to float and stepping out of gravity until something more grounded snags you. You're not insane for challenging what other people believe. Actually, that's how all new realities start. This doesn't feel right anymore, according to one person. Perhaps choosing to believe what feels real, even when it is unpopular, is the true act of rebellion. What they wanted you not to see. They use noise, news, and constant updates to divert your attention for a reason. It's not merely to keep you occupied. It's also to prevent you from seeing something far more subtle and detrimental to their delusion. Your opinion. Over time, your sensitivity and knack for seeing between were blunted, tamed, and labeled as fantasy. However, that profound impression that there is more going on behind the scenes isn't a bug. Your superpower is that, according to Kalen, they are more afraid of perception than protest, as clear perception eliminates the necessity for consent. You can see right through the act. You stop purchasing their products, and you begin to exude an uncontrollable energy. This is what they didn't want you to see. Not all of your thoughts are your own. They have altered your memory. They have shaped your desires, not completely, just enough for you to continue acting out the part you were assigned. However, the script is brittle, and it breaks down more quickly the more you see it from the inside. It begins with little things, like a quick shiver when you hear a falsehood or a lightening when you tell the truth. Perception is accurate rather than dramatic. It's the subtle understanding that the most potent things are sensed even when they are invisible. The split frequency that occurs behind your existence. Beneath all of this, something is going on that the media refuses to cover. Realities and frequencies are changing. The world's energy is no longer unified, despite the fact that the calendar and the buildings appear to be the same. Kalin refers to it as the silent split. You may have experienced the sensation of being in the same room as someone, but in a different universe. There is still one of you in the program. It's starting to show through the other. What about the difference between those two states? It's expanding. In the conventional sense, this is not a war. Every soul is quietly choosing to remain in sleep or to reach out for the unknown. There are no armies or pronouncements. Additionally, every choice generates a frequency. What about those frequencies? They are now organizing themselves. This explains why you may feel cut off from the people you used to love, or why it feels heavy today in some places. It's resonance, not judgment. Furthermore, resonance is truthful. They're not worse, and neither are you. All you're doing is vibrating in different ways. The split is an act of precision rather than punishment. Moment by moment, thought by thought, truth by truth, the cosmos is lining up each of us with the version of Earth we have chosen, and eventually the overlap will stop, the imperceptible barrier that confines you. Most likely, you've already hit it. That odd reluctance? After being inspired, you get exhausted. After feeling liberated, you suddenly feel guilty. Your voice hitches in your throat as you start to express the truth. The wall is that. The invisible wall is made of beliefs rather than bricks. It's not outside this wall. It's composed of all the messages you were exposed to as a child. Be practical. Don't overdo it. You're having a dream. You are insufficient. These voices eventually become into architecture. You also keep running into the sides of a building you never agreed to construct even as you wake up. According to Kalin, it is a frequency cage that is weaved throughout memory and emotion to persuade you that release is impossible rather than to literally imprison you. And when you think that, you give up. You become smaller and you give up. The most challenging aspect? It feels like a personal wall. It sounds like what you're thinking. The programming goes that deep. You'll know that voice isn't yours, though, if you stop long enough. People who are terrified of their own brightness are echoing in a chorus. Demolish the wall? No, simply look at it, see it. And a miracle occurs. The delusion begins to waver. The wall thrives on your silence because it cannot withstand your attention, and you'll walk right through it one day, with quiet knowledge, not with force. I never had this area in the first place. What is left to believe if all of this is true? If the wall is a fabrication? If the frequencies are dividing and if reality is folding? Next, we'll move into the realm of pure soul vision, where you start to see with more than just your eyes. You start to see with love, memory, and vibration. When your soul begins to see without eyes, you'll see why your darkest periods might have been your most lucid communications, and how your soul has always been attempting to show you the world behind the world. There is a silent, nuanced moment. You don't see it with your own eyes when you start to grasp things you never knew, but there is a change, a realization, as though something inside of you is observing everything from above, without passing judgment, simply having a profound comprehension. That is soul vision, which is completely independent of sight. Soul vision manifests itself in peculiar ways. Before anyone speaks, you sense the truth when you enter a room. You can feel the pain in someone's laughter right away, or perhaps you see someone and feel as though you've known them for ages. It's not a guess. Remembering is what that is. Your soul has never been blind, Kalin reminds us. Yes, your body may have limitations, however your essence transcends in vibrations and symbols. It's the reason you feel exhausted around some folks. Explain why a decision causes your body to stiffen before your intellect has had a chance to analyze it. The soul doesn't hold out for reason. Resonance is how it moves. As opposed to reading a book, this type of vision cannot be learned. Through experience, it awakens. Through heartache, through silence, through those moments when something clicks that cannot be explained. You have no idea why. You're correct, though. Your soul is verifying what your eyes aren't yet able to see. This is where its beauty lies. The world starts to show itself in a new way once soul vision is activated. Conversations feel layered, and patterns start to appear. Even the most routine days begin to seem like passages from an old script. You start to perceive the agony that precedes true vision, but you also start to witness it. The reality doesn't come easily. It trembles, it shatters. The floor is pulled out from under everything you believe to be sturdy. Pain, however, frequently comes first. As permission, not as punishment, it tears the veil and opens your eyes. You notice the hidden comfort while you're in pain. Real sorrow has a peculiar silence, not the screaming sort. However, the type that persists in the pauses between talk. When someone says, "I'm fine," there are lengthy silences. The obscurity is lifted by this anguish. You become sufficiently exposed to at last sense the truth behind all the chaos. This was formerly shared by Kalen. You become numb in the illusory world. Before it heals, the genuine one will cause pain. Like a stone, it lands. Because we are constantly asking why truth feels like a burden and why waking is so lonely. When we start to see, why do things fall apart? It's cleansing, not cruelty. Truth cannot be seen through layers of denial. Just as the stars cannot be seen through a painted ceiling, those layers are removed by pain. It just requires your honesty. It doesn't require your approval. That's the cost in the present. You don't simply wake up. You are not. And your soul's vision is at its clearest during that pain, when everything seems broken and you're not sure what's real. It speaks in a serene knowledge rather than in answers. This has to go down. Your instincts are clear. It's gaining traction. It's likely that you have questioned that inner voice, disregarded it. You talked yourself out of knowing. We all have. Therefore, it's all right. Let me tell you something, though. There is no stuttering in intuition. It nudges and whispers. Additionally, it doesn't become silent when you don't listen. In other ways, it simply becomes louder. Your stomach ache, that odd opposition to a good chance. When everyone else says go, that tug tells you to wait. Anxiety is not that. Fear isn't that. That is your intuition trying to direct you into a version of reality where you belong, not to frighten you. According to Kalen, instinct is the frequency that is most controlled on the planet. We've been taught to ignore it, to follow reason, to blend in. However, fitting is irrelevant to deep intuition. Alignment is important to it. Even if something is lovely, it lets you know when it's wrong. Even if everyone else adores it. Being confused does not imply that your intuition is incorrect. It indicates that you are receiving too many contradictory signals from the outside world. This explains why stillness is therapeutic and silence is revered. Your truth ceases to be muffled and resumes buzzing plainly during those silent times. It doesn't have to be flawless. All you have to do is listen without protesting, without justifying it or seeking confirmation from others. Your intuition is there to protect you, not to persuade. You haven't chosen this life yet. Have you ever had the impression that you are following someone else's script? As if, despite your best efforts, your life doesn't quite fit. Since your current life may not be the one your soul truly selected, that is clarity rather than failure. You arrived here with a blueprint, not a strict plan but a direction, a resonance, or a feeling. However, over time, that initial course was obscured by expectations, survival, and well-meaning individuals who dictated what success should look like. You gradually strayed from your design. According to Kalen, beneath the one you were given, your actual life pulses. It is still there. All it has to do is wait. I'm waiting for your approval to stand up, to be recognized, to be acknowledged, even in tiny ways. You just need to be honest. A big awakening is not necessary. Not yet, this isn't it. When time feels different, effort feels like flow, your body quits resisting, and your breath deepens without any apparent reason, you'll know you're getting near. This feels right. That's how the soul whispers. Additionally, it serves as guidance when it doesn't. This is not a depressing message. It serves as a reminder of options. The path you wake up on is not your only option. You can change course, become softer, and consider why you are here. To feel, to create, to remember, and the answers come slowly. The code concealed in your indifference and ennui. It's simple to ignore that drab sensation, that feeling of alienation. We refer to it as ennui. We dismiss it. Go over it with a scroll. Boredom isn't meaningless, though. It conveys a message. Apathy, that feeling of numbness, it's an indication, one that is blocking something essential within you. You weren't made to be apathetic toward life. That weight, that lack of interest. It's not being lazy, it's opposition. A fake engagement, an unsatisfactory habit, or an out-of-alignment version of yourself are all being resisted by your soul. Because the incorrect reality doesn't fuel your inner fire, that's why nothing feels meaningful. This is what Kalin calls code collapse. It seems like emptiness when the programs that once captured your interest start to fail. However, there is a spark waiting beneath that void. You're not damaged, you're only stepping away from illusion. When you begin to feel bored, don't try to fill it right away. Take a seat with it. Something deeper might be whispered. It may say that you've outgrown this cycle, or that this isn't your path. Perhaps it won't say anything at all. Simply offer a stillness that is more truthful than any sound. The end is not apathy. This is the start of profound honesty. It eliminates the second-hand dreams and illusory wants. It creates room for the real to speak at last. The most sacred callings can occasionally be concealed by a stillness that we have made an effort to ignore. Reality, glitches, and illusionary fissures. Has there ever been an instance where something didn't fit? A moment when everything seemed strange, when people were moving too slowly, or when your surroundings looked staged, a dream that seemed more real than the real world, or shifting, disappearing, and reappearing items. These are tears in the curtain, not sporadic malfunctions. They are known as alignment fractures by Kalin. They occur when your consciousness momentarily surpasses the speed of the matrix containing your present chronology. You see snippets, overlaps, and glances. The illusion seems to falter. For a brief moment, your soul intervenes to let you know that this isn't as solid as you had believed. You may believe that your memory is faulty, or that you are just dreaming. But what if the contrary is actually true? What if the reality you're awakening into is a fiction and your memory is ultimately correct? The glitch is a message, a breadcrumb, not a malfunction. And by being conscious of it, you're getting closer to the truth. The strange thing is how commonplace these events might appear. You claim that a street sign didn't exist previously. Someone who says something they can't possibly know. A mirror flickers. We ignore them. However, they are the gaps, the boundaries where the real world seeps through and the fake one thins. Don't let the cracks scare you. Avoid patching them. Look at them, inhale them. You can use them as evidence that the cage isn't composed of steel. It's a story. Additionally, occasionally, a plot bug is all it takes to get you out of the frame.